Hello and welcome to the Music Survival Guide, the independent musician's guide on how to survive in the music industry. My name is Phil, I'm a mixing engineer. Hope you're doing marvellously well out there this fine February day. I was going to say morning, but I don't know what time of day you're listening, so just going to say day, and that will cover it all. This week, I wanted to talk about raw tones and recording, because I think it's too easy to record something and go, it's fine, we'll sort it out in the mix. Fix it in the mix is a terrible thing to think. What you need to think about when you're recording, whether you're recording yourself or you're going into a studio to record, is you need to focus on getting the best raw tones that you can. As in, whatever sound is entering into your DAW, your recording device, it is the best that it possibly can be. Because the better your raw tones are, the better the mix is going to be. That is really true. It's really, really important that you remember that. The better your raw tones are, the better your mixes will be. Why? There's a few reasons. If you're thinking about tonality and you're thinking about the way you want it to sound, go in with intention. For example, with drums, there's loads that you can do in the mix, obviously, to shape a drum sound and make it the way you want. And that's true. I'm not going to deny that. But making sure that you have the best raw sounds possible really, really will help you get on your way to that final mix that you want. So, for example, microphone placement really, really, really makes a difference about how a drum sounds, where you place it, how you place it, when you're close to the rim, close to the edge, how close to the skin you are. All those things will affect the sound of the drum. And I could sit here and I could tell you, do this and try this and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to. Experiment. See what you think sounds good and go with it. Trust your gut sometimes these things. There's many other things to think about drums, like phase. I'm not going to talk about that now, but focus on getting the best possible tone that you can. And I think that is doubly true with other instruments like bass and guitar, etc., etc. Don't forget, if you're recording a guitar amp or if you're using an amp sim, you have so much control over that sound before you apply any processing inside the computer, unless you're using an amp sim. But even then, let's call that part of the processing to get the sound that you're looking for. Your amp has a tone control. It has mid, bass, treble, usually presence, sometimes resonance and things like that. Use them. If you think when you're recording, this guitar tone has a bit too much low end, I think, and you ignore that, why not just fix it there and then? You could change the position of your microphone. You could change the EQ on your amp. You could change the pickup you're using. You could change the way you're attacking the strings of your pick. You could change the pick you're using. There's loads of things that you could do there. And the same is all true of bass guitar. When you're recording, when you say you're just going direct in, make sure you have the best possible sound that you could have. If you want to have a really bright, attacky sound to your bass, then using old strings is not going to help you and saying it'll be fixed in the mix. It will not sound as good. It will not sound as good as if you spend that bit of money, that bit of time, getting some new strings on, for example, to get that kind of bright, attacky tone from the source. It will sound so much better, and you will thank yourself later for it. That small investment early on will end up with a better product at the end. This is also true of vocalists and things like that. It's true of everything, but it's true of vocalists and things like that. So when you are thinking about your recording, if you only have one mic to choose, then use that obviously, but if you have a few mics that you can choose from, try them all with your vocalist, try them all with your singer, with yourself for your other singer, and work out what sounds best with your voice, because different microphones pair differently with different voices and different input kind of sources. Not every microphone will sound good on everyone. A Neumann U87 is an expensive microphone. It's well renowned for being a good vocal mic. That may be true. It may not work on your voice. And there's a lot of voices that microphone does not work on. So don't just sit there and think it's fine. I've used what I've got, and I could get a better microphone, and that's so expensive, and it's not going to sound as good. It could really genuinely sound good. You just need to spend time experimenting, finding the right microphone for you. You could stand slightly off axis from the microphone to get the right vocal tone. You really just need to experiment with these things and work out what you want to do. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, all I've got is my simple audio interface. I haven't got any fancy EQs and compressors or preamps or anything like that. I've just got my standard set of fairly affordable microphones. That's fine. Again, there is loads you can do. Everything I've mentioned so far in this podcast does not require you to have an external compressor, an external EQ, a fancy preamp, etc., etc. It doesn't. You can do all this with a stock preamp. You can do all this without any fancy tools. You just need to think about microphone positioning and anything else that affects the sound, before it goes into the computer. Because when it goes into the computer, you've committed that sound, and that could be great, that could be terrible. It's up to you. Again, what I would say is when you're recording, you want to make the whole thing sound as much like a finished record as you can as you are recording it. And this is all the techniques I've just talked about. There's loads that you can do, and it's really, really important that you think about these things. Why? Because as I say, you're going to get a better mix at the end of it. If you're handing it off to somebody like me and saying, off you go, please, can you mix this for us? We've talked about your vision for the song, your references, etc. If you've not recorded it well, there's only so much I can do to get you there. Whereas if you've recorded with intention going, we really want that kind of guitar sound, so we've recorded it this way and we've made these choices. That's great. It makes my life and my job so much easier, and it's going to get you the result you really want. It's really important that you go into this really clear-headed, take some time to experiment, work out what you do like and what you don't like as a band or as an artist, and go with it and trust your gut with these things. Better mixes will come from better raw tones. So thank you for listening to this episode of the Music Survival Guide. If you thought it was helpful, please do share it with any friends and bandmates to start a discussion about these things. If you have a chance, please do write a review wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps others discover the podcast through the all-mysterious and all-powerful algorithm. Finally, if you're thinking of recording or mixing, please do drop me a message in the links in the podcast description below, and we can have a chat all about it, and I'll see you next time.